Hello everyone, you're welcome to the Energy Compass podcast where we explore the energy sector from power to oil and gas and how it connects to the global energy transition. I'm your host, Miracle Oluwafemi. Today we have with us a seasoned professional and an energy expert, someone I highly respect in the energy industry, Dr. Sijuade Kayode. Thank you so much, sir, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a privilege, actually. Dr. Sijuade Kayode was born on the 5th of July. He attended St. James Anglican Primary School from 1986 to 1992 and Community Comprehensive High School, Ikaram, from 1993 to 2000, from where he proceeded to study law at the Faculty of Law, University of Jos, from 2000 to 2006, where he graduated with a second-class upper and bagged his LLB degree. He attended the Nigerian Law School from 2006 to 2007 and was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2007. He was also awarded the BL degree and enrolled as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He commenced his National Youth Service in 2007 at the Federal Ministry of Culture and Tourism as a legal assistant to the Honorable Minister and completed his service in 2008. As a young advocate, he started his pupillage in 2008 at the family law firm Kayode & Co., where he served as a junior associate in the litigation department. He was promoted to senior associate in 2010 and led a team of young lawyers in the firm in litigation and corporate matters. Later in 2010, he proceeded to the prestigious School of Law of Ankara University, Ankara, Turkey, where he bagged his LLM 2013 and PhD with distinctions in 2018 in international law with specialization in oil and gas, oil pollution. He also obtained a postgraduate degree in international oil and gas law and another in international oil and gas negotiation, both in 2014 and 2012 respectively. Sijuade is a leader in the organized private sector and chamber movement in Nigeria. He has served as a two-term council member of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Vice President Industry, and currently Vice President Commerce of the Chamber. He was appointed the National Legal Advisor of the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, position he held from 2021 to 2022. He speaks English, French, Turkish, Yoruba and Hausa. He's married to Dr. Temitope Sijuade Kayode and is blessed with children. Wow, what an extensive bio. It's a great privilege to have you here today.
Thank you once again.
Yes, sir. So today we'll be having a very important conversation where we're going back to the basics. From oil well to fuel pump, how Nigeria's industry actually work. So Energy Compass is a way of just simplifying how energy concepts works in Nigeria. So we're just diving right in. Most people in Nigeria, when they hear the energy sector, they just think of, fuel prices. This is how much I buy fuel. They have no idea of what happens behind the scene. So how would you describe the oil value chain in Nigeria to someone who only thinks of the energy sector in that manner?
Well, that sums up the whole of the energy sector as it were, because the sector is very broad and the end product of the sector is the end products that consumers use, such as the PMS, the lubricants, the jet oil, and the rest of them. However, before these products get to the pumps, there are chains, which you call the value chains, involved. And these are divided into three, the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream sector. The upstream is the foundation, more or less, which involves the exploration for the oil itself. This involves the geoseismic analysis to know exactly where the oil is and how deep, the depths at which the exploration will go. Now, this involves a lot of investment. And when the exploration is done, the oil is found in commercial quantity. Then there is drilling. And when drilling is done, the crude oil, as it were, is produced. When this is done on the upstream, then from the production of the crude oil, it has to be moved, to refining point, to where the oil will be refined. And at that refining point, you have different products being produced, the AGO, which is called diesel, the PMS, which is petrol, the lubricants and other derivatives of the products. So moving it from the production point to the refining point is the midstream, and after refining it, you move it to the
Downstream.
the pumps. So that's the downstream sector, which is the retail point of it,
Yes, sir.
where the end users could access the product. However, the end users most times do not understand this process. All they care about, all they are interested in, is the final product, which is for their consumption. So the value chain entails a lot. Like I said, the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream sector. Of the downstream part of the sector.
Okay, sir. So I would say in the upstream operations, we have the, I believe there's an onshore and offshore operations also, because I believe we don't just get crude oil from just the, the ground or land. We also have, like for offshore, we have so can you tell us a bit about that, how that works in the upstream sector, and who are the players in that industry, in the upstream sector?
Yes. Initially, when the exploration and production of oil started, it was mainly onshore.
Oh, okay.
In the sense that exploration were done on land, which was easier because of access.
Right.
However, with time and with scientific development and advancement, there is proof that offshore, that's in the high seas, the continental zones, the territorial waters, at certain depths, the oil reserves there are even bigger, much more than the ones on the land.
That's interesting.
So investments are moved onto the offshore to explore for oil and produce oil. And this led to the dichotomy between the onshore and the offshore. So what it means basically is that offshore is on the high seas, while onshore is on land. So that's the
okay. So who are the major players in the upstream sector? Like the bodies, are there regulators, are there international oil companies involved? How does that, who are the people that are usually involved in that?
Okay, the upstream sector, like I said, is the foundation of the oil and gas industry. Now, the players there, first of all, is the government, because the government issues the licenses for even exploration in the first place.
Sure.
Then the host communities are a player also in that sector, because they own the land, they reside in the area, it's their ancestral land. Then the IOCs, the international oil companies, the Shells, the Ajibs, Mobil of this world.
True.
These are all the the persons or organizations which are prominent in the upstream sector, because that's where production starts, and these are done in consonance with the law, the applicable law. For example, in Nigeria, the PIA, the relevant agreements, and the other regulatory and fiscal and other laws which are applicable, which must be complied with before production itself starts. That is the level of, that's the commencement of production of oil and gas. That's the upstream sector.
Okay, sir. When you were talking, you talked about the host communities being part of people that are involved in the upstream sector. I know in the past, the host communities have mostly even they've been seen as obstacles rather than stakeholders. But I think the PIA has come to change that. So can you tell us, like, what's the place of the host communities today? What's their place in the conversation in the upstream sector today? What has the PIA brought in allowing the host communities to have a say in the oil and gas industry today?
Okay, in the past, before the PIA, before the Petroleum Industry Act, the international oil companies deal directly with the government.
Okay.
With the assumption that the government has authority over all lands in Nigeria, and that all minerals found in Nigeria belongs to the government, not the people who own the land as it were. That has been the regime, and the only compensation, so to speak, that the IOCs give back to the community are in the form of corporate social responsibility. But now, and this old regime led to the agitation by the Niger Delta militants and all kinds of agitation and all that. And this has been addressed by the PIA, which has now legislate on the matter, that the host community now have their rights protected by the PIA, and these rights are now justiciable. They can be enforced in court.
Oh, lovely.
At the point of signing agreement between government and the IOCs, these sections of the law which guarantees the rights of those communities are now part of the agreement. So as it were, the PIA is a new regime of law which has now recognized the host community, the indigenous people, as players in the sector.
So I would say, perhaps, is there like a form of like monetary compensation that they are entitled to from the IOCs for any period of time? Is there anything
Yes,
like that?
the PIA can't lay my hands on the section particularly now.
Yes.
The PIA has stated the percentage of the profit of every OICs operating in the sector
Okay,
that is payable to the host community. And
Okay.
aside that, certain corporate social responsibility that must be done
Okay.
for the community. This has been spelled out by the PIA.
Okay.
Okay, so for all IOCs in the sector now, they are bound to comply with those provisions of the law, and those provisions are also enforceable. The community can easily, or any legal practitioner can go to court, or any Nigerian can go to court and to enforce those sections against the IOCs in the sector.
Thank you so much, sir. So moving on to the midstream sector now, how is this oil moved across Nigeria? How is it exported abroad? What are the forms of
Okay, you see,
transportation?
when the crude is produced, that's the rawest form of it.
Yes.
Now, to even refine it, it has to be moved from the point where the crude is produced to the refinery itself. And this could be done 3 ways. The first is by pipeline.
Okay.
The second is by ship, which we call the tankers.
Tankers.
Okay, we move the crude to the point of to the refineries, and the crude are then processed at the refinery, and after then it goes to the retail end, which is the downstream sector.
Okay.
So they can be moved either by tankers and by pipelines.
Okay. On the news, we hear a lot of things about oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and all of that in these forms of transportation. So what makes the Nigerian pipeline system so vulnerable to all this vandalism and oil theft? Like what do you think can be done about it?
Well, it's not as if the Nigerian pipelines are naturally or ordinarily exposed to vandalism or ordinarily susceptible to vandalism. It is the perceived injustice in the sector, especially with regards to the host communities, to the people, the indigenous people, to the youth in these areas where the oil is being produced.
Okay, so
it's in view of that the youth attack these pipelines. They know where these pipelines pass. They know how they crisscross across the Niger Delta. They attack this oil pipeline. You will have noticed that from towards the end of the last regime, that's President Buhari's regime,
yes, sir,
there was some sort of agreement signed with Tantita, which is owned by Tompolo, to protect oil pipelines across the Niger Delta.
Okay, sir.
Since then, the issue of vandalism and sabotage has reduced to a barest minimum. This current government also renewed, or they continue with the agreement, because Tantita as a group, is a group that was formed by Tompolo. They have their men, their personnel. They know the whole of the Niger Delta region more than even maybe our military, and they know the boys. They know the boys who do this sabotage. They could talk to them. They're their brothers. They could talk to them.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, and that has really helped Nigeria. Now, the per barrel production of oil in Nigeria has rose tremendously, almost to 1.6 million per day now. 1.6 million barrel per day since that agreement. So it's not a matter of the susceptibility of the pipelines to vandalism or to sabotage, but the injustice in the sector that has caused
that issue. Okay. So when it comes to crude oil and refining, we have a lot of conversations around the Nigerian industry as regards that. Do we refine any crude oil right now before exporting, or do we send out everything raw? And even before, why was that the model as at then, while there was no refining going on in Nigeria in the past?
Well, we have 3 refineries in the past, and they were working optimally.
Okay.
But these are old refineries. They were built in the 70s.
Exactly.
So wear and tear and all kinds of are expected. Okay. Over the years, new refineries ought to have been built. Or if the supposed turnaround maintenance have been done properly, refineries will be working. Right now, I understand that the Port Harcourt refinery is working, but at a very low level. Performance. Kaduna too, we heard that it's working, but we actually refine very little of our oil in Nigeria. Most are sold abroad and in exchange for refined products. But Dangote refinery is here now.
Yes.
I'm sure you have follow-up questions.
Well, you can.
So Dangote refinery is here now.
Yes.
So Dangote refinery buys Nigeria crude oil, refine and sell.
Okay. Okay.
So Dangote refinery has stepped in where the government refineries have failed. So that's the situation.
Okay. So now that we have operating refineries, like an operating refinery that's performing at a very high level, what role do these Nigerian refineries currently play in our oil value chain?
Okay, you will have noticed that when President Buhari was leaving towards the end of his administration, I think the last year, he removed subsidy. Actually, it's President Buhari that removed subsidy.
Yes, sir.
Not President Tinubu.
Okay.
President Buhari removed subsidy a year before he left because it was not budgeted for.
Okay.
So when President Tinubu got there, what he was expected to do is to continue the removal or reinstate the subsidy. So he continued with the removal. So his announcement that he has removed subsidy means that he wanted to continue what President Buhari had done. President Buhari had removed subsidy before President Tinubu. Now, upon removal of that subsidy and the conclusion of Dangote refinery, there's an agreement between Nigeria and Dangote refineries to supply Dangote crude oil in naira instead of dollar.
Yeah.
If Dangote were to buy crude oil anywhere in the world, we'll buy them in dollars.
All right.
So where will sourcing for the foreign exchange to get that will have been, a challenge for him. But to make it easier for him to refine, Nigerian government sell the crude to him in naira, and he produces it and sells back to the NNPC. So in that sense, you will have seen that instead of putting cash money as a subsidy, government is subsidizing by selling the crude oil to Dangote. And that's why you could see that Dangote refineries more or less regulate the price of PMS in Nigeria now. Every week you will see there is a difference in the price of PMS depending on the market forces. So that's the situation.
Okay. So when this crude oil gets refined, so how does the petrol now get to deport the marketers and the filling stations? Like, what does that chain look like?
Okay, well, that's the midstream, which is the transportation, the logistics part.
Yes, exactly.
When oil is refined in Nigeria, for example, there are basically 3 ways. The first is by pipeline, transportation of the refined product from the refinery to the depots. We have depots, for example, in Ibadan. I think we have in Kaduna, and we have in Diko in Niger State. So these refined products go underground through underground pipelines to this depot. Okay. So the tankers now go to this depot. The oil marketers send their tankers to this depot to load and take to the filling stations.
Okay.
Some Nigeria also sell refined products or crude oil by using vessels, ships, and what they call tankers. They are ships with tanks. Okay. Made purposely for oil and gas business. So that's how the oil gets to the.
Okay. So at this point, what factors now influence how much we pay at the pump? Is it market forces, or is the government still involved now compared to before?
Okay, I would say basically 2 things. The first is the price of oil in the international markets, as set by the OPEC countries. Okay. These prices, are democratic. They are everywhere. You watch them online. You see them online every day. The price of oil hovering around $70 to $80 a barrel. That's one. The number 2, exchange rates. The dollar exchange rate to naira. Okay. Because if Dangote is buying the crude oil in naira, if dollar is 1,500 today, and he buys the crude oil for 1,500 per dollar today, and tomorrow the dollar is 1,200. and is buying at 1,200 to $1, then the price will change definitely.
Definitely.
So those are the things that
Okay.
regulate or determine the prices of fuel at the pumps.
Okay. Now, in this downstream sector, I would imagine there are a lot of challenges that the downstream sector actually do face. So, what are these challenges that can be seen in the downstream sector, and what can we do, and what can be done to solve these problems?
The problem we have witnessed lately is the difference in price of oil products.
Okay.
Every filling station have a different price. The NNPC has a different price. The MRS have a different price. The NIPCO, the AA knows. So there is competition now. There's a sort of competitiveness to it now. So you choose as a consumer which filling station you're going to buy your fuel from.
Okay.
Depending on the price they are selling. So the market forces is now controlling the price of fuel in the market.
Okay.
So, as it were, the PIA plus the removal of the subsidy and the local refinery by Dangote has added to the liberalization of the sector, of the downstream sector of the oil and gas.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Oh, this has been a very enlightening conversation. Thank you, sir, for your input. So, if I were to round up, what's one myth in the Nigerian oil industry that you wish people understood better, and what's the reality now? Is there a myth, and what's the reality?
Okay, the myth for me would be why is it that our refineries in Nigeria have not been working?
Okay.
For example, everybody always wonders, because every year there is always a budget for turnaround maintenance and all that. What I would like to tell Nigerians is that if you look at Dangote refinery, for example, you just wonder how big, how massive it is, and the amount of investment, the amount of money that goes to that. These are huge projects. Our refineries, the truth about it is that they are old, they are obsolete. They've been built in the 70s, more than 40 years old, and we have not done right. We have not been doing what we ought to have been doing. Nigeria ought to have built 3 to 5 additional refineries apart from the 3 old ones.
Exactly.
This ought to have been done over the years. We didn't do it, and that's where we are now. More so, I mean, oil sector is more of a private-driven sector now.
Yes.
The government's involvement is limited all over the world.
It's been regulated.
So the refineries may have to be privatized at some point. They have to be privatized at some point with minimal government involvement. Let the market run the sector.
That's a very good one. So, this is Energy Compass, and as we wrap up, if you're to guide somebody or someone that is just starting out in the energy industry or trying to navigate the energy space, what would you tell them?
Well, what I would say is it's an interesting sector, like we have discussed, divided into different parts. So the person ought to, first of all, do a research, an overview of the sector and where they wish to
fit in,
to fit in or to invest.
Okay.
So you have to do a background check first. That's the most important thing. That's my advice.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. It's been a wonderful conversation, and thank you guys. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles, and see you next time. Goodbye.